Welcome back to the Wizard Weekly, where we talk about everything in gaming. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl is finally out, and it has been an experience. So what you're seeing on the screen is my gameplay that I took as soon as I got home from work today, and the game itself is having a lot of issues. Like when it comes to unsteady launches, this game is the epitome of what that means in the modern gaming world. Why did I restart the game? I don't know. So this game is really demanding, both literally and just in terms of graphical demands, because literally in the sense that this game is 150 gigabytes base install. Let that sink in, because that shit is insane. But that's just my daily rant of how game storage has become atrocious in modern gaming. But anyways, what really matters is the fact that the gameplay for a lot of people is just not hitting right now, and the fact that there's so many game-breaking glitches and just overall frame rate issues. Like how you can see here, the game itself, it only calls for a GTX 1060, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and Intel Core i7, which I have all of these, and the game I can only get running this well. Likely a little worse that you can see on the screen, since I was recording with OBS in the background, so maybe that was hindering a little bit of performance. But overall, the game for me, it runs like ass. But luckily, GSC World, the developers behind the Stalker series, they stepped in and they claimed that they're aware of all the game-breaking bugs and glitches that was going to be expected on day one, and they claim that they already have a bunch of patches for the first couple of days to be released. And like I said earlier, down the line they're going to have a roadmap of all the DLCs and free in-game DLC that you'll be able to get. So as far as hardware issues, that's pretty cool. Now let's get into the root and meat of the game that you actually get when this just decides it wants to run at a decent frame rate. So Stalker 2 once again takes place in the zone, in the Chernobyl area, like how all those sort of Stalker games have. And you play as this character named 𝐔𝐲, who is a dude that collects these artifacts from various zone places, and he trades them in for money. And he found this really special zone that he's teaming up with this dude named Herman, the scientist, to go into the zone and activate it out of it. In this process, what you're seeing right here, I'm going into this random bunker of dead scientists and just stealing all their shit. Obviously, like I've said before, I've played Stalker, the original game, so you would have thought that I would have been more prepared for the gameplay curve and just overall how hard this entire thing is. But oh my god, I died so many times. I'm only like 2 hours into the game, I'm already at like 20 deaths. Like they give you a counter, which is funny because they know you're gonna be dying in this shit a lot, so they gave you a counter, and I was just getting stupid deaths. Like look at this shit right here. Any common sense would have told me to not walk into where all this electricity is on the ground, but look what I do. Look what I do. Just no fucking survivor skills. But not just that, the enemies in this game are unforgiving. Like you can only, even if you step into just the wrong area, just you're trying to traverse and get to point A to B, if you step into any area where any of the zone creatures are, like those hellhound dogs or those headcrab, Half-Life 2 headcrab looking things, but oversized, they will hunt you down and they will kill you. Like that's not a debate. Like it doesn't matter if you have a full clip of ammo, they will take that and they will kill you. Stalker is undoubtedly the Souls-like of FPS shooters, and this game is no short of that. So if this is your first time playing a Stalker type of game, be prepared for the steep learning curve and to die a lot over like simple shit that you just would not die over a game like Far Cry or a Call of Duty, because this game is not that. And even the enemies, like look at this encounter that I had right here. Just shooting them anywhere except for the head is basically a sponge. They will eat a full clip of ammo in the chest, in the arms, and the legs. Unless you hit them like dome tap piece them, they will shoot you and they will kill you, like I just did me right here. So it's definitely something I got to get used to, especially coming off of playing Mario and Luigi Brothership for a couple of days and just having that lackadaisical ass gameplay to come to this hell. It's a bit of a shift. But overall, it does give a sense of rewardness when you do make it past all these enemies and make your way past all the mutated zone parts of the area. Like we have to throw a boat into I forgot what it's called, but those little warps. And like I said, I'm only about an hour, 2 hours into the game because I died a lot, so I haven't got a chance to do too much of the story. I have helped out an NPC character for the side quest, like the first side quest you get when you save that dude. I did that mission and I did the first actual story mission. But it does kind of scare me to see reports like this where it says that Stalker 2's best ideas are undercut by a stale plot. Now, like I said, I don't have enough experience to comment on the story outside of the first two missions, which really isn't shit. And just by that, I haven't been amazed by anything. I'm really just using the story as an anchor for me to give reason to the actual reason I'm playing the game, which is the gameplay. So that does kind of concern me, and I do hope that the plot isn't as bad as it seems. But again, this game's gonna take me a while to get through because holy shit, it's a curve. And moving on, Valve's Steam Marketplace is undoubtedly a platform that many game developers like to share their, first games that they ever make because of just all the exposure and resources that you get that any game developer will want, their first game or any of their games to have in a competitive market like right now. And as time goes on, new situations arrive and like how AI is around, and now you have to disclose if you use any AI on your games on Steam. So that's something that they implemented earlier in the year. But now Steam has also implemented new rules to their season pass content, and they've just tweaked a bunch of rules for any developer having any season passes in their games to protect the consumer from any backtracking or any false promises that any of these game makers can make. They claim that by offering a season pass, you are promising future content. If you aren't ready to clearly communicate about the content included in each DLC and when each DLC is ready for launch, you shouldn't offer a season pass on Steam. It should be common sense for that, but obviously, if this wasn't a thing that players have complained about, or Steam hasn't saw an issue to resolve this, then we wouldn't see this right now. And given the nature where every game now is basically live service because people are trying to capitalize on that model of a sustained income and just maybe even be able to get your game in more hands, is like it's going to be free, but you just pay for the season pass and shit. This is definitely something that we need to have implement. From now on, all games with season passes must have a complete list of all the DLC included in the pass, a basic description of the content, which I've actually seen not in a lot of DLCs and shit, and then expected release date for each DLC. Now obviously shit happens, especially in a profession as complicated and always just changing like developing games, when you could just have one issue that arises from the simplest of things, but that little simple issue can ruin the entire experience. So any DLC that gets delayed or has to get canceled, you have to go through Steam now, and they allow you to delay the DLC in a season pass after 3 months of the projected release that you put in whatever you signed it up for. And if it needs to be going any longer, then you have to, as you see here, reach out to them directly. And if you fail to do that, Valve is just going to step in with their automated systems and just go ahead and remove the season pass from the sale on Steam, refund all the customers who purchased the season pass, and allow customers the option of refunding the entire season pass. So some really good protection against the consumers from any potential malicious developer out there. Now for most games, I doubt it would ever come to that unless it's just a situation like the day before where they just exceed all levels of just stupidity. So for any of those 1% chances that this could just be a whole misdirection from the game developer to consumer, these protectors are pretty cool to have right now. And moving on, what you're seeing on the screen right now is a PlayStation Portal, which is PlayStation's handheld remote player that they released earlier in the year that most people just see as a mutated PlayStation DualSense controller, but I saw it as really an investment for what this could actually truly be in the future, which finally PlayStation is going to dive into with allowing PlayStation Portal members that have the PlayStation Plus Premium membership to be able to cloud stream games on this thing. Something that I undoubtedly thought that this should have been with the system at launch, because having your PlayStation in rest mode while you're out and about and just maybe out of the country and shit and still using this, that's cool and all, but who really wants to do that? Luckily, the device works as intended, and people that have bought it have, little complaints about it. But, finally, what really would be able to shine this little thing as to having it being its own little thing instead of just, a screen for your PlayStation 5. Cloud streaming beta has finally launched for PlayStation Plus Premium members, and over 120 PS5 games are able to play on this thing right now. And in this experimental beta, you can stream up to 1080p at 60 frames per second, and all the DualSense controller features are going to be included with, whatever game that you're playing. And for those curious, maybe looking on the outside in from, not having a PlayStation console or any of the PlayStation ecosystem devices, the PS Plus Premium membership is the $17.99 tier of subscription that gives basically everything that PlayStation has to offer as far as, this premium membership and shit. So yeah, you gotta really love PlayStation to pay for some shit like this. But so far in like the day it's been out, or at least like the 24 hours or a little 26 hours now, it's been working as intended. People have been enjoying the cloud streaming in beta. Obviously there's been issues because you have to actually like go into your device and sign up for this experimental shit. So there's going to be issues, and like we already established, it's only locked to these PS5 games. So people are hoping that PS4 and PS3 games gets added in the future, because that would be a beast of a thing to have around just playing freaking what's out there on the PS3. Oh, I know a good one. I know a real good one. freaking infamous. Now this is some shit that you want to play out in public. I just want to say, you know, back in the day, I don't think there's ever was a game that ever made me feel like a badass more than Infamous 1 and 2. Infamous Second Son was good too, but 1 and 2, my God, that shit made me feel like a freaking badass, just freaking going around. It's everything that Saints Row 4 wanted to be, just saying. But yeah, it's finally cool to see the PS Portal finally get benefits that people have wanted since day one. Hopefully the experience goes smooth over it until its final release. But on the other side of that coin, Xbox Cloud Gaming has now added the ability for you to stream your own games if you have the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate tier of that subscription. And this is something that they promised a long ass time ago, and finally they're, you know, starting to follow through on it. And now there's only 50 games right now, but if you own these games yourself, you can now stream them on various as you can see, PCs, smartphones, and tablets. Interestingly, you can't stream it on the Xbox app on your PC or, you know, Xbox on your console, so that's kind of, you know, you would expect to have that on there, the #1 places, but you know, right now it's only on other devices. And I mean, I guess it's not bad because anyone that has the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and does use cloud gaming, they're likely going to be on the go. So I guess you're going to bring your Xbox console and your monitor, you know, with you on the go when you're going to freaking Starbucks. Well, some people do. Remember those freaking people that brought their whole console rigs to freaking McDonald's back in the day? That shit was weird. But obviously support for your Xbox consoles and, you know, the Xbox app's going to come soon, they announced. But right now, this is how we can consume these games. And lastly, there has been a lot of talk in the gaming streets, to which, like the vertical of my hat, my ears have remained big to all of it. So Sony, which we already know is behind PlayStation and, you know, the Walkman, that's what we know from, the Walkman and the Sony games. They are currently in talks with the Japanese media company of Kadokawa, which is the parent company of From Software, which we all know is behind, you know, Dark Souls and obviously most recently the Elden Ring titles. But Kadokawa, their wings span more than just, you know, From Software games. They also have a slew of other anime and Japanese media companies, other game developers like Acquire, which just did Mario & Luigi Brothership, which I'm playing right now, so that's kind of a trip to see all this. Also, other studios like 𝐂𝐋𝐈𝐄 and Spike Chunsoft. So they have a lot of influence as far as like games and just overall media, and they're a really big company for Sony to be wanting to buy right now. Now, it all started off as a rumor and just, you know, speculation from a couple of sources like HearRooters.com, and outside of obviously the big games that Sony would get out of this potential deal with Kadokawa, this also aligns with their whole ideal to expand their reach into other mediums like, you know, anime and film and animation and everything, since Sony, they did acquire Crunchyroll back in 2021 along with Funimation, and they merged them together. So, you know, they're trying to play checkers and not chess with their whole just expand of business. Not to mention the two have already collaborated in an exclusive way with the game of Bloodborne, releasing back in, what was it, 2015, 16? 14? I don't remember the exact dates, my bad y'all, but they collaborated with that game, which did incredibly well. It's a Souls-like classic that many people are hoping to get a PC port really soon, so, you know, them already having that level of business together really pushes the edge of this potentially happening. But you can already tell this is going to be a really hefty price tag. I doubt it'd be anywhere near the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal, but, you know, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of B's in this potential offering. But it's funny because this news shot up like literally as soon as it hit the internet, and, you know, Kadokawa, funnily enough, they just said, you know, everybody hold the fuck on, all right, just calm down. They stated that there are some articles on the acquisition of Kadokawa by Sony Group Incorporated. However, this information is not announced by the company. Kadokawa received a letter of intent to acquire the company's shares, but no decision has been made at this time. If there are any facts that should be announced in the future, they will make an announcement in a timely and appropriate manner. So they just told everybody, just, you know, stop speculating and just watch. But this is all really interesting stuff here. Now, this would likely be the biggest acquisition deal we've seen since the, like I said, Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal from earlier in the year. So how this would pan out for the future of Kadokawa's business would be interesting under Sony's belt, especially, like I said, they already have developers that's worked with Nintendo, like recently with Brothership, which is already performing pretty well, and even other series like the Danganronpa. My bad if I'm saying that wrong, but I know that's a really beloved series that many people don't want to get touched anymore. Pause. But I do know that there's not too much hope from the fan side of things with, you know, how Sony could potentially treat these new companies under their belt, since, you know, they just saw the whole Conquer situation where they shut down the studio's first game after it launched for 2 weeks, and they're getting taken off the platform and spending hundreds of millions of dollars on that shit for it to come out in the state that it did. So hope is not a word that fans outside of the, obviously the PlayStation ecosystem are using right now as far as Kadokawa goes. But again, I just want to see what happens. Like, the letter says, we don't know anything right now. It doesn't been made official. So yeah, and that's all I got for today, man. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and well, I will see you on the next one.